How are you getting on? This is a story called The Battle of Culloden, which is a Scottish story from the writing of Jess Smith. On the evening of the fateful Battle of Culloden, Prince Charlie and his bard and his generals were sitting out the hours in silence in Culloden House. Mist had claimed the moorland, chilled by the thick sea har. Only the sound of a singular hewlet broke through their thoughts. It was to be a long, drawn-out, sleepless night, so somebody suggested a game of cards, and everyone agreed. The games worked away the hazard of time which hung around like lead. Suddenly a candle flickered and Charlie dropped a card. He claimed it to be a crucial part of a good hand, and began a frantic search on the dark floor for the missing card. But no matter how hard they searched, it had simply vanished. The bard, wrapped in a heavy plaidie, muttered a few words in Gaelic about bad luck, but the hardy generals brushed the superstition aside. The prince, however, in not finding his card, went into a quiet mood, to gaze into the darkness beyond his view, and in time went for a walk with his trusty bard. "What do you see, Shanachie, about tomorrow?" The old man took Charlie's hand, kissed his ring, and said that he saw nothing, and asked if he may take his leave before the dawn. The young pretender gave his permission, and both walked back into the dim light halfway of the ground house to part company for the last time. He said nothing, but the wish of the bard not to be there in the morning meant it would not end well for them. Next day the defeat was a slaughter. Pibroch circled as each breath was sent to eternal sleep. The Jacobites of old closed the book on the Stuarts of Scotland and saw the end of the final chapter. Cumberland, the victorious duke, was puffed like a cock pheasant with his spoils of such a glorious victory. He was raising his rage and ready for the final onslaught. No more the Gael, farewell to the kilted Highlander, their dirk, targ, and their sword. The blood spilt upon the moor around Culloden was nothing in comparison to that which was about to be lost across the Highlands and the islands. The Duke had eradication plans in mind, and he needed to execute them without haste. His quarters just happened to be in Culloden House. From the exact room where the prince and his men had been on the previous night, Cumberland shouted his orders. A general rushed to the call. "I want the men to go at haste speed and kill every Gaelic Highlander, whether he be 1 or 100, spare none. Burn the homes, lighten them of everything they own, and destroy this God-forsaken thieves' den." His general, however, was a gentleman soldier and had served under the king for many years. There was protocol to follow. Orders had to be written and signed. He said so. The Duke was not pleased and again rapped out his orders, but it was against the rules. Orders had to be written and signed. Seeing the stubborn resolve of the soldier, the Duke asked for a pen and paper. The house had, of course, been ransacked. There was no paper that hadn't been piled on a bonfire. Every available soldier searched, but to no avail. The Duke began to march up and down the long drawing room, rapidly losing patience. He thumped his boot upon the floorboards, and from the edge of a dusty carpet he saw something. It was a playing card, the 9 of diamonds. He picked it up and took a pen from a bottle of ink and began to scribble his deathly order on the reverse side of the card. The horror began that day, and the legend was born. The curse of Scotland was to be known from that moment on as the 9 of diamonds. The fateful end. Culloden Moor by Frank Callery. I will go to walk that high sad moor. I will bow and say my prayer for the clans who fell that fateful day and lie forever there. I will call those ghosts the brave, the best of the blood of Scotia's fame, who neath Culloden take their rest, their country's sacred flame. On the noble cairn, that flame of gorse, in April blooming there, a beacon lit by time's remorse that filled the tearful air. And the wind shall hear my deepest sigh for the fallen and the slain, for the loss of language, culture, aye, for each clan their honoured name. Culloden Moor, you are the cyst in which a nation's pride is stored forever, like the list of the bravest who have died. For Scotland's cause, her lore, her song, the Ettrick shepherds praised, that noble cause to right great wrong, their cries and banners raised. On the noble cairn, a flame of gorse, in April blooming there, a beacon lit by time's remorse that fills the tearful air. Oh, the wind shall hear my deepest sigh for the fallen who were slain, who for their country raised their cry, and neath this moor are lain.